Well, well, well. Look what the cat dragged in. Jon Jones is going crazy on Twitter as he has over this past weekend specifically. He has since deleted a bunch of tweets, but was going off what seemed to be just cryptic, nondescript, random words. Him complaining. He even went live at one point, being like, I can't remember what he said, but he's losing it here. And as you can see in this huge paragraph, he's addressing what's going on with the White House controversy and his relationship fallout with Dana White. But you got to wonder, why is Jones typing out all of this? Because truly, I don't want to read it, but I'm going to do it for content. But why is he typing out all of this? It's because recently, after UFC 326 took place and we were all going, what's happening with the White House, I'll be honest, the card is not as good as it was hyped up to be. And if it was a regular card, it's a very, very good card with some very good names on it. But when we heard for months on end that there was going to be 6, 7 title fights and just insane, and we ended up getting 2 title fights. I don't know why my camera just did that. It's a bit of a letdown. We got Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins on that card. So fans are going, where's Jon Jones? Where's Conor McGregor? And Conor himself has also said, they're not giving me anybody. I've said yes to everybody. They're not giving me anybody. And fans are wondering what's going on with Jones, because Dana has come out and said that his Pookie Bear, Jon Jones, is no longer a UFC fighter in a sense, saying, I'll let him take it away.
Of course, that it's Jon Jones.
No, it's not.
Was Jon
Never, ever, ever, which I told you guys 100,000 times, was Jon Jones.
Never, ever, ever, which he told us 1,000 times. He told us 1,000 times that Jones was the GOAT, but who knows? Now, this has come after Jon has been going on since February, I believe. Not February, since November of 2025, talking about fighting Pereira at the White House, fighting Pereira for the heavyweight belt. When he ducked Tom Aspinall, I don't know what's going on with my camera. This is the first time it's ever happened, so I just gotta let it happen. Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall for $30 million, dragged out Tom Aspinall's career, turned him into a heavyweight champion when he was an interim champ without fighting, so he doesn't get the credibility he deserves, and then dragged the UFC's negotiation team for weeks on end, going from $30 million, I think he went up to $30 million before he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So he wanted $30 million, and they said, okay, fine, fight Tom, and he goes, no. So Jones has done this to himself, but he's been doing a lot of promo for the White House. We saw most recently, he's been going on for a while, but standing here like a toddler who just shit his pants, wearing the same fit that he's had on since 2009, Jones discusses that he's in conversations for the White House. This was back in March 1st. So we found out at the White House just a couple days ago. So this still had a lot of heat behind it. It got half a million views, but I'll let Jon say it. So a bunch of fanboys, a bunch of weirdos who glaze this guy for no reason or yeah, he's back at the White House. When Jones has repeatedly destroyed the company's credibility, he's even ruined the only ruined event in UFC history by not taking on Chael Sonnen on short notice. Chael Sonnen of all people, by the way. He was undefeated, undisputed. I take that back. But so Jones has been on this tirade of wanting this fight. And you got to wonder, I mean, what's going on? And sorry, this camera thing is really bothering me, so I'm going to try to speed this video up. And they tried to go back into negotiations, apparently. Dana's saying he was never on the table. Dana said he texted Jones's lawyer, never happening. And then you have Jones saying, I'm currently in negotiations. So who's lying here? Dana has a track record of lying, and Jones has a track record of lying. I don't know. Until the receipts come out, we don't know, and I'm not going to claim to know anything here. But I think both guys are just chatting shit a little bit. Dana was saying that Jon Jones wanted something compared to the Tom Aspinall purse. That'd be $30 million. So he turned down $30 million, left, and now is coming back to fight a completely different guy and goes, but I want $30 million again. Nope, not how it works. Get your ass back to the line. You're getting 12 for 12, kid. 12 for 12. Take it or leave it. They were trying to give that to Rico Verhoeven. But they were going to look to give him half of that, maybe $15 million, and apparently both sides could not come to terms. So you're getting stuff like this, ACD, relatively trustworthy, and other sources as well, saying that there was negotiations, there was talks of the UFC White House, and it kind of just fell through due to monetization amongst other things. But then you have Dana himself, who's notorious for lying, come out and say that Jones was never even on the table for the UFC White House because they're never going to let Jones fight for the UFC again. So maybe the UFC is holding a grudge when the Tom Aspinall fight fell through, or maybe the fight just didn't go the way it wanted to go, and Dana White's done with Jon Jones. And now Jon is going crazy. He was tweeting erratically, And I guess we'll get to this giant paragraph now. You can skip past this. I'm going to go ahead and read it out to myself. I actually haven't read it all the way through, but I'm not going to use his accent. So, hey everyone, I wanted to address the Dana White comments from this past weekend because the truth matters to me and the fans. Dana, you were heated about why I'm not on the White House card, but let's clear something up. My team and I were actually negotiating with the UFC for that fight. Real negotiations. I even came down from my original number and what I was offered in return. I was lowballed. Apparently $15 million is lowballed for a UFC fighter, but when Conor Benn gets it, the entire MMA world shits themselves. So we got to call out Jones here on some hypocrisy. Yes, I have arthritis in my hip and it's painful, but that doesn't mean I can't fight. So why don't you take on Daniel Cormier at RAF? Pussy. So let me get this straight. If I had accepted the lowball offer, suddenly my hip would be fine and I'd be on the White House card. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean anything. You're just saying something to mean it. The lowball offer is you screwing over the UFC with a $30 million fight and leaving them with a shitty heavyweight division. Heavyweight division's been dead for almost a decade at this point, but you kind of just were the nail in the coffin. I even received stem cell treatments last, blah, 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 blah. He's trying to fix his hip. I understand business deals fall through sometimes, but going out publicly and saying things that aren't true isn't right. After everything I've given to the UFC, failed events, PED cheats, the title defenses, some of the closest, most fights you've ever seen, 2 illegal shots that he got one loss for and he could have gotten another loss and lost his belt to Anthony Smith, who's a dumbass for not taking that. Lionheart, curl up in a ball, Lionheart. And then hearing that I'm done is disappointing. You walked away from $30 fucking million. You're fucking victimizing yourself after being the biggest, most stuck-up piece of shit for 10 years. Especially when as recently Friday, UFC was calling me trying to get me on the White House card for a much lower number. If the UFC truly feels like I'm done, then I respectfully ask to be released from my contract today. No more spins, no more games. Certainly an interesting thing. This probably was ChatGPT'd, but he probably went through it and cut out, what makes it look ChatGPT'd unlike his other paragraph. I don't buy it. I don't buy Jones' whole sob story about how he was ready and how despite, I have a bad hip, but I'll get in there, but not against Tom because now you're some old buck and he's a young guy. But you fought DC when you were 23 and DC was 37, I think. So it's blatant hypocrisy from Jones. We've seen this time and time again. And I have been frolicking. I've been kicking my feet in my bed like a little girl, seeing Jon Jones have meltdowns on Twitter because he deserves it, man. He deserves it. He has gotten away with this trash behavior for way too long. He's ruined events for us. He's stalled out heavyweight careers. He's been petty. He's got the dumbest fan base ever outside of Dagestanis at times. And yeah, man, it's a taste of his own medicine. That's what it is, and I'm here to support it. Even if there was negotiations and Jones is getting screwed over here in some way, shape, or form, good. You deserve it, man. What goes around comes around. You've been doing this for 10 years straight, with the company, with the fans, with your wife. It's about time some sweet justice came around. And if the worst thing that happens to him is they wouldn't offer me $30 million, they only offered me 15. Boo fucking who? Your problems are not that deep. You've had a long tenured career. You have history. People consider you the GOAT. Why do all this? And you're just tarnishing it. And now you're drunk, maybe coked up again, posting on Twitter, going live for fleeting glimpses like you were on that family vacation. Dude, I don't know. I'm just shitting on him here, but it makes me, it warms my heart to see Jones get a taste of his own medicine and Dana finally stick up for himself. Dude's been bent over backwards for Jones. Any position he likes, he's getting there for him. We could not go a Dana White live without hearing Jon Jones and some glaze for like 2 years straight when Jones had only fought once against a 42-year-old Stipe Miocic. Absolutely insane situation here. Obviously, Dana's a bit of a sleazy guy himself, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're holding him. Conor McGregor posted that he's been trying to get a fight saying yes, yes, yes to every other opponent they've given him. They've even said he's accepted Carlos Prates, and they decided to not go with that. So the UFC definitely is holding some of their better guys, and I don't know why. They're stalling out their careers. They're almost making them non-fan favorites because they're going, hey, I want to fight, and the fans are going, no, you don't. You're not even getting in there. But it's on the UFC to fulfill that contractual obligation. I digress. Insane situation. Let me know if you think Jon Jones should have fought at the White House or if you agree with my sentiment that this was an opportunity for a man who did not put in the work to get this opportunity. He had tarnished his career, tarnished his reputation over the past few years as a fighter and just as like his brand. a lot of people are starting to open up to Jones's behavior, and they're sick of it, and I'm here for it, and I'm glad we're seeing it. But like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. See ya.